All right, guys, 3:00 p.m. and I've checked in at the park office, got my paperwork, and I'm set up for camping. But after I stopped at the park office, I decided to do a little reconnaissance. I'm here in State Game Lands 13, which is adjacent to Ricketts Glen State Park. And I came down a road here. I'm scouting out for a future big hike. And I stopped at a location here. It's actually a small pull-off, and it says Sullivan Falls. So we're gonna walk down and see if there's a waterfall here before we head back to camp. So I'm really glad that I got Snow White with me, the truck. And this is exactly why I bought the truck, for the ability to get down roads like this. The road coming in here was really rough. I would not, if you have even tried it in the Challenger, and but riding in the truck, no big deal. So truck's already paying dividends for me. A little bit different down here as compared to up on the plateau. We're in the valley now, and lots of wildflowers on the ground. It's an open, sunny area. I'll show some of them to you, but I can hear some rushing water. So it sounds like there is a waterfall down here. Beautiful off the radar spot here, but you can tell it's a local spot. There's a couple rope swings, even a tiny bit of graffiti on the rock there, unfortunately. Really neat the way at the top of the falls the water has carved a chasm through solid rock. Let's see if we can get to the bottom for a better look. So based on how the trees look and how the vegetation is, I think it's still about, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks away from having that real lush, deep foliage that I would like to have to shoot waterfalls. It's also literally the worst time of day. I wasn't planning on stopping here. It was a spur of the moment thing. So, but it's a nice waterfall, very nice waterfall. We'll be coming back at some point. I'm sure of that. But now let's head back. Let's head to camp and set up on the lake. All right, guys, here we are. Site 65. Ricketts Glen State Park. The first time in 20 years I've camped here at Ricketts Glen. It's a small site. Again, it's a Sunday. Campground's pretty empty. I drove through it this morning. It was pretty packed. Just got here. You can see all my gear. Cooler. And here's my tent. There is one older couple camped over there, but I can tell they're going to be very quiet. So I'm not worried about that. Smaller than I expected, but look at this, right on the lake. Here's a fire pit. You know, I'll be sitting out here tonight. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but there's some spring peepers going. Very nice right now. The winds have died down somewhat, but it's supposed to get cloudy this evening. So it's supposed to get calm, but we're not going to have any stars, I don't think. So one thing I noticed on the campground map when I booked the site was this little opening here. Look how beautiful this is. So that's right next to the campsite. Not too many places in Pennsylvania where you can just pop up your tent and be right on a lake like that in the state parks. Again, so this weird kind of road where it dead ends, these sites here, 64, 65, there's 64 right across the way. I'm right over here. There's my tent, I already got it set up, and the truck. So, I mean, perfect site if there wasn't anyone next to me, but I think it's gonna be quiet, like I said. Not too many people out here, and should be a nice relaxing evening. I'm looking forward to it. So I carry a couple different kinds of tent stakes when I do this car camping. These plastic ones are really good for like these gravel pads where underneath the fine gravel there's like bigger rocks. So I really have a lot of hard time getting these little metal ones, and they go great in the dirt. But for these gravel pads, these old plastic ones work pretty well. This mat here is so comfortable for car camping. It's almost like sleeping on a regular mattress when this thing firms up, and you can make it as firm or as soft as you want. You can really get it, you can really fine tune it. It's an X-Bed mega mat, and it was expensive, but it's worth it. I mean, if this is going to be the life tonight, I'm telling you. Right on the lake, campfire, so much comfort, convenience. This is what I call selective car camping, and it's really, when you do it right, it's the best way to go. But this is what I like about car camping. Again, selective car camping. Camping in the right campgrounds at the right time of year, on the right evenings, and at the right sites. So we went for an awesome hike today, awesome adventure, good hike, even went for some exploration. And now we have all the creature comforts right here. Look, I even have a pillow and blanket right off my own bed I can throw right in the tent. Truck's right there, loaded with firewood in the back. It's just gonna be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Good stuff. Got some little kindling pieces to get started. So I just been taking a walk around the campground. It's about 5:45. I'm at site 36. I think this is the site that I last camped at. And I could have sworn that this site was booked. This is a nice big site, 21. I like these sites over here, 20, 21, 22. I love when you got these little trails right down to your own private little section of the lake. Man, I screwed up. I mean, my site's not bad, but it's not as good as a lot of these. Damn. Let's check out the amphitheater where they have programs in the summertime. You know, usually rangers or naturalists will talk about different things related to the park. I want to tell you about the very best channel in the state of Pennsylvania. It's a guy named Walter Zollner. His tagline is Nature, Adventure, Discovery. And if you want to see the highest quality cinematic nature content based here in Pennsylvania, then you need to go check out Walter's Own and Nature Adventure Discovery. Heading back to our campsite now, but I just want to show you the camping, I think they call these cabins cottages, and from what I was looking at in the office, pretty reasonably priced. If these are the ones, it says it sleeps a family of 5. I don't know, that's kind of hard to believe, but maybe it's bigger on the inside than it looks from the outside. But prices seem fairly reasonable. I think my friend Darcy from Darcy's Hiking Diaries just rented one of these not too long ago. So yeah, this little cabin colony here. Yeah, these cabins are actually really nice. You can see the fire pit there, all modern. And then look just outside your front door. Look at this beautiful view. Wow, so gorgeous. A couple of mallard ducks swimming away. Yeah, I'll keep this in mind. And finally, up here we have the one in the campsite running a generator. Always one. So the batteries on my camera ran out just when I was saying how much I absolutely despise people who run generators in campgrounds, so it's probably a good thing you didn't hear all that. But that was a little tour of the big loop here at Ricketts Glen. You'll hardly ever see it this empty. And now heading back to camp, where I want to make some soup. Campbell's Red Can, original. So good. Always makes me feel like a little kid, that flavor. Listen to those spring peepers. I never imagined I'd get to hear that tonight. They are so loud, so beautiful. Oh, so good. So I haven't been talking too much lately. I've just been relaxing, deeply relaxing. As you can hear all around, the spring peepers, the tree frogs, the birds, the ducks, the Canada geese, woodpeckers, everything. It's a cacophony of sound. It's one of the most incredible sounds. And I've maybe camped in more beautiful places, but I've never heard a sound like this. I mean, talk about like made for going to sleep. It's just really special. So I'm just gonna sit by the fire and just listen and just loving it. So it's about 8:30 p.m. right now. You can hear, of course, all the sounds of the lake and of the park here. And I want to share a little story with you. I want to tell you about the last time I camped at Ricketts Glen State Park. And I'm trying to recite this from memory, and a few of the details are a little bit fuzzy, but it's one of them stories that stands out in my mind and will forever. So here it goes, as best as I can tell it. So it was about 20 years ago. So I'm 46. So I was about in my mid-20s. And I believe it was August of 2005. And it was during Hurricane Katrina, which obviously was one of the worst and most significant hurricanes in the history of the United States, that came through Louisiana and New Orleans, we all remember, through the southeast. And the tail remnants of it were coming through northeastern Pennsylvania and through Pennsylvania. So anyway, me and my brother, I had decided I wanted to come camping here at Ricketts Glen. I don't remember if they had a reservation system or not, but as we were driving up, I remember, and it had to be, because it was 05, it had to be, I was driving my my Monte Carlo. I didn't even have the Impala at the time, so I probably had my 86 Monte Carlo with a bunch of gear in the trunk. Anyway, it's pouring rain all the way up, and we finally get here to the campsite, and the rain stops briefly. And my brother, who was a tree climber at the time, and I had brought a bunch of tarps, and I said to him, hey man, hey Nick, we gotta hook up a bunch of tarps. We have to hook up whatever kind of system we can do to prevent the rain from coming into the tent. And that's what he did, and he did a hell of a job. We hooked up all these tarps intricately, and we did pretty well with it. And then the rain started picking up again. And what I remember about this moment specifically, because I think we were on that peninsula, I think it was site 36 or 37, the rain started to pick up. We were able to get a fire going even in the rain, and it was like that wind-swept rain. It was the remnants of Katrina. And what I remember about the fire, though, because the wood was wet, was that there was like a direct smoke line, a direct injection of like smoke, like right into a campsite that was about 3 or 4 sites down. There was only about maybe like 8 or 10 people camping that weekend. And I remember the guy coming out of his trailer, and I remember him saying like, hey, are you guys okay? Do you know what you're doing? There's a hurricane going on. You're out here in this little tent. And we're like, yeah, we're okay. And we were kind of like laughing. I'm probably 25, 26 at the time. My brother's probably like 22, 23. And I'll just never forget that, because because it was Hurricane Katrina. It was a famous moment in American history. And the funny thing too about it was that like my gear was so crappy at the time. I had basically had like a pup tent, and I remember my brother saying, "I'm not sleeping in that tent with you," and he ended up sleeping in my car, and that was the really funny part to me. And the other thing I remember is that after that was probably a Saturday night, and then into Sunday, the morning was cloudy, but then it became a beautiful clear blue day, like as beautiful as you could imagine, which often happens after a really bad storm comes through. And we walked the Falls Trail, I remember that. And then the crazy thing that will always stick in my mind is on the ride up, gas was like $1.99 a gallon. But when we were driving back to the Philadelphia area, and all the refineries in the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, all the refineries down there in Louisiana were like knocked off the grid, and gas was like $4 a gallon. It went from $2 to $4 overnight. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. That's why I never forget the last time I camped here at Ricketts Glen State Park. And that's a campfire story for you, believe it or not.
Around midnight, I woke up suddenly from a very peaceful sleep. I heard a noise coming from around my truck, and I knew instantly it was an animal. I quickly reached for a flashlight and shined it towards the truck. To my shock, there was a black bear in the bed of the truck, pawing and sniffing at the workbox. I got up and began yelling for him to get lost, and he quickly ran off. Not wanting him to come back, I started my truck and slept inside for about an hour. Another unforgettable story of camping at Ricketts Glen.